Welcome class, today's lesson 2.2. Our goal for you is that strong mathematicians can use place value understanding to multiply tens. And that's our goal when we get done with this lesson. So take out your notebooks and your pencil and put today's date down, along with the title of the lesson, Lesson 2-2. We have some notes today of some terminology, some math vocabulary as we build ourselves as strong mathematicians to learn our math vocabulary. We have the associative property of multiplication. What does that mean? Grouping the factors in different ways does not change the product. And product is the answer of a multiplication question. So you notice when we write these numbers down, we have 3 times 5 times 7. It gives us 105. We also have 3 times 5 times 7 still equals 105. So notice, even though we've grouped them in different ways, when we're multiplying all the numbers, it does not matter. We're still going to get the same product, which is the answer of a multiplication problem. The other thing is the commutative property. The commutative property of multiplication, changing the order of factors does not change the product. We've learned that 3 times 8 equals 24, and 8 times 3 also equals 24. So even though that the factors change, the product still remains the same. So once again, in your notebooks, you can pause the video right now, and you can write down the associative property of multiplication and what it is, and the commutative property as we continue our math vocabulary and learning. So now we have some examples today that we're working on to show how can we do this. We kind of started to work this in the last video, lesson 2-1. We're starting to break down numbers and move numbers around. So we were doing this already yesterday without even knowing that they had specific mathematical names for it. So notice we have 10 right here, and we have 10. We don't need to break 10 down to 1 and 10 because those are already a number that we're really comfortable with, because 10 is a place value number. But we need to break apart 50. So we know 50 is, we're going to break it into, well, it's in the tens. The 5 is in the tens place value. So we'd have 5 groups of 10. And here's where now we can start moving numbers around to see how this works. So 10 times 5 times 10 really doesn't change much, but yet it would still mean the same thing. So usually this step we wouldn't write it down because nothing's really changed, just that we now have it in a different grouping. But now what we're going to do is we're going to put terms that would be easy to multiply together. And we don't want to multiply 5 times 10 again because we've already had that when we started. So I'm looking at this, I think 10 times 10. So I'm going to put 10 times 10 there. The only number I have left is my 5, so I'm going to put my 5 right here. I have 10 times 10. If I have 10 groups of 10, I have another place value, which would be 100. Which means I would have 5 groups of 100. So 10 times 50 is 500. So if you have your notebook out, you can draw a line, put box 2 examples, and write down this example to help you out. We have one more example now. Well, notice our number is 20 times 30. It is not a 10, but yet we have two numbers that are both in the tens place value. So first thing we do is break both of these numbers down by their place value. 2 is in the 10 place value, so that means I have 2 groups of 10. My 30, the 3 is in the tens place value, so I would have 3 groups of 10. So when I look at those 4 numbers, what numbers would be the easiest to pair together? You betcha, I'd multiply the tens together. Because when we see place values, we multiply those together really quickly in our head, and we know that 10 times 10 is 100. So we put that all the way already on the next line, because our head actually takes tens times tens and puts that together. That leaves us with 2 other numbers. The other numbers it leaves us with is 2 and 3. So those same numbers are going to be on our next line as we go. Notice the numbers should never change from line to line if we're just moving numbers around to different spots. We now have 2 times 3 is 6. And now we have 6 groups of 100, which gives us an answer of 600. So 20 times 30 equals 600. So you can pause the video, add this to your notes right now to help you as you do your own problems coming right on up. We have 2 problems for set box 3, so draw another line. Box 3, now it's your turn. We have 2 problems for you to solve today. The first one is 30 times 60. So we want to see how you can break apart 30 and break apart 60 and work your way into solving what is the answer of 30 times 60. So pause the video right now and work on solving this problem. Our next problem will be 70 times 40. So you do the same thing, breaking apart those numbers and see if you can come up with an answer of what is 70 times 40. Pause the video and give it another of your best shot. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to write those down in your notebook. That way, help us out with or any strategies you use to help you solve them as well. This can help us as a class to come up with a better sense of learning how to multiply tens. Thank you very much for your great effort on another lesson.